Friends and family of Cardivox Academy, let's make sure everything looks good. I'm trying something a little different this time with the audio and video, so hopefully it works. But today, we are going to be talking about the much requested Phil Bozeman cover of Unanswered, which is a Suicide Silence song, as I think we all know. And this was like a tribute concert that they did after Mitch Lucker passed away. And tons of crazy good vocalists, lots of cool stuff. And this actually got, I think, almost 80 requests on the Facebook community page. So it's time. It's time to do it. So we're going to talk about this. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, just heads up, of course, I've heard this before. Everybody's heard this before, but I've never analyzed it before. So this is going to be fun. And kind of a fun little quick story about this song. When I first met my fiance, it was at an Oktoberfest party, and I was drunk, which I don't get drunk a lot, but that was a fun time. And I had no intention of dating this woman, so I grabbed a laptop and I was like, "Hey, you should watch these death metal vocals." And she was like, "I guess." And now we're engaged. So this song holds a place in my heart. But anyways, let's get into it. And if anybody doesn't know, Phil Bozeman is the vocalist of Whitechapel, a very prestigious vocalist. And a lot of people, when he first started and when Whitechapel first started, people, for a long time, this guy was like the standard of metal vocals, false chord especially, for a lot of people. And I still think for a lot of people he is. He's pretty amazing. It's a short song, only about 2 minutes. So today's video might be a little bit shorter, but let's have some fun. Let's check it out. Boom. I would be excited too. I would be. Phil Bozeman. There we go. We're already going to talk about something. So those highs, those are pretty standard false chord highs, and he does them really, really, really well. I've heard some people say that they think he fries, and I mean, I guess there's a chance of that, but I think the reason they think that is because his distortion is really tight and clean. So it's a very quick, rapid distortion. It's not clicking slowly like that you normally get with false chords. It's very so it's very tight. And then also you see when he goes into his lows, everybody knows Phil Bozeman for his lows, and rightly so. You see he stands up, stands straight, gets some posture going, and you can see his throat relaxing. Let's check that out again. That was pretty good. See that? Those lows are really cool too. When I think of Phil Bozeman's lows, outside of just like the really deep resonant sound of his throat and his mouth, I think of how he'll go at the beginning of his lows. A lot of people do it now, but I remember when I was first getting into metal, this was the first guy that I heard really doing that. So instead of going like, he'll go, you hear that? And that's kind of a very iconic sound of his. Also, how cool is this little shot? Look at this guy. That's really neat. But that's one thing you'll hear that he does a lot, and I think it adds a little flair that nowadays is more common, but back then was new to a lot of people. Now, there's something I want to point out here, too. So his lows, very large, very cavernous, very relaxed, right? He switches into the high, and he almost loses it, right? You can hear at the beginning where it almost like gets out of control, and he fixes it in real time. Let's listen. You hear that? So one thing that you should do when you practice, once you're comfortable with distortion and doing metal, false chord vocals correctly, if you make a mistake, as long as it doesn't hurt and as long as it's not pulling on anything, if you make a mistake, try to fix it rather than just stopping and starting again, because you will learn, especially if you play a lot of shows, how to fix it in real time, and that's a very valuable skill. So something to think about. And the way he would have fixed that, by the way, let's listen to it one more time, just for anybody who's curious. Yeah, you could hear that. Basically, it was very little distortion going on, and his vocal folds were too engaged. So he was kind of starting with wah, so he just kind of pulled it up, turned the vocal folds off. Although his vocal folds aren't completely off, he's got a little bit of voice going on in there. That's really important as well. So he's leaning over. That's a performance thing. You don't need to do that. But also most of the time throughout this video, when he goes to take these breaths, he's not, right? His shoulders aren't going. So Phil Bozeman, highly regarded as one of the most powerful vocalists out there, he's not doing to start his screams. Check it out. You see that? And he's getting a lot of power and a lot of strength. Yay! I pray for the day! I pray for the day when you win this! And he pulled it. I like how sometimes he like drops low and then pulls it up, kind of like almost like it's a rubber band. I pray for the day! Really cool. Let's listen to that one more time, then we'll keep going. Come on. He's got such a cool like mid. It's almost a low, but it's like it's closer to, like, if you compare it with his lows, it's closer to a mid. And that's gonna come from, so we've talked about the pharynx a little bit, and we always want our distortion to be high. Like, if ever you're like, when should my distortion be low? In my opinion, never. You should never have your distortion down here. It should always be here. But in relaxing different parts of the back of the mouth and the throat, you can kind of control where it's resonating, sort of like, so with our highs, we can resonate it up top. And if we kind of, the way I do mids is I drop my high to a mid. Some people move their low to a mid, different ways to do it. So that's how I do it. And I do it by kind of relaxing back here, and I can feel a little bit of the vibration happening a little bit lower. And he does that as well. And it's really cool. I love how rounded it sounds. So good. I love that part. So he starts with those mids, and then he drops to those really nasty lows just for that big contrast. Oh, and it sounds so good. Let's look at his positioning. Let's watch it again, and let's watch it kind of critical role. Let's watch it kind of critically and see what's going on. Those mids, kind of mids. All right, so it's kind of blurry here, but you can see like his throat is relaxing and opening up. Now, some people, when they do this, let me turn sideways here so you can see. Let me turn this way. Some people, when they do this, they shove their throat open. You see that? You don't really need to shove your throat open. You know, as you practice and you learn to relax these muscles, your throat, opening your throat, you'll find it's a really relaxed process. And one way that you can do this is with the back of your tongue. And so he's creating a lot of space here, right? A lot of space here. And then he's narrowing up here. Obviously, the mic cupping does affect the sound as well. We're not going to get into that debate. But you can see his lips are right here, right? And that's a common thing we all know about. But tight, narrow opening of the lips, open in the back of the throat, going to give you a pretty cavernous, well-rounded sound. So, something to think about. If you're trying to get your lows to sound more girthy, to have more body, Well, this is a pretty standard way to do it. This is really important too. So he's holding essentially like, okay, if we know the lyrics, I'm pretty sure the lyrics are, if I remember correctly, I pray the hand of God will come and strike me down, right? But he's saying it all from I pray the hand of God will come and strike me down. And he's doing that to hold the tone, because the tone is really what we're all here for. So right? He's holding that same vowel shape and just articulating only as much as he needs to make the words come through. That's where you get the whole, we can't even understand what he's saying thing. And it's like, well, yeah, but it sounds really dope. So, there it is. Come on out. That's one of my favorite parts of the song. So, one thing you can do, this is just a little stylistic thing you can do with your highs, and I like to do it a lot, is kind of like learn how to like spit the air out. So when he says, he doesn't say answered, he says answered. And I know that seems like a really trivial thing, and it's like, you don't need to do that to be a good vocalist. It's really pretty basic. But those tiny little flares, those tiny little accents you put on your vocals, it's going to create these really cool sounds, and it's so simple to do. Like, really creating the false chord sound, like, that's the hardest part. Putting the flare and everything on top of it, once you can just maintain the distortion and the resonance, that's the easy part. So this is one of the way he does it. Right, and that's all my tongue and my lips and my teeth. You're not gonna hurt yourself by doing that. I know what you all came here for. This part. Let's talk about that. So, that's a weird one. Let me think of the best way to describe this. Oh man, look at this guitarist. He's getting down, dude. Or is that the bassist? I can't really tell. So, when we do a lot of lows, and when I teach people false chord lows, we start with a big, open vowel shape. So usually ah, right there. Now, this is really thin, really tight, really high, but it's not a high vocal. So that's the thing. And actually, one thing I work on with my students a lot is don't think of it as high and low vocals. Just think of it as more open and resonant and more tight and narrow vocals. Because sometimes when we think we got to go lower or higher, we switch the type of vocal we're doing and it gets kind of complicated. So, man, nothing beats just crystal clear water. I love it. So, this, and I'm actually going to take my headphone off here so I can hear myself better. So it's still a low, but instead of saying or ah, he's saying e. Now, I want to clarify something here. There are different ways to do this sound. So, this is the way that I kind of get close to it. This is the way that I like to do it. Other people probably have different ways, and if you do, throw them in the comments, or jump on the Carnivox Academy community page and let us all know. Upload a video of yourself. But the way I do it is I make this E sound. My low becomes and then I do like the tongue shape for a tunnel throat, but instead of doing it on the bottom, I do it kind of on the top. And then I narrow the lips. You see that? If I do that with an sound, it sounds similar, but it's not quite the same. If I do it with an sound, it's pretty close. Sounds a little different, but that's kind of how I get there. I'll do it along with him. We'll see how close it is. It's going to sound different, but it'll be kind of close. I'm about to do a duet with Phil Bozeman. Oh my god. So that's how I would do it. That's how I would go about it. Pretty close. It really would just be a lot about narrowing that kind of over the top of the tongue while you're doing that like shape. It's not quite a guttural shape, okay? So the guttural shape, the tongue is up and behind the alveolar ridge, which is that ridge behind your teeth, right here, like that, right here. This, my tongue is actually on my teeth. Yeah, closer to that. Let's keep going. There we go. Let's get that screenshot going. Yeah. So this is like a really good like roaring sound. You see the relaxed throat, you see the mouth. And my tongue is kind of cupped and brought back. And that's basically just creating a little space for the sound to roll around. If I don't do that with my tongue, see how much your tongue makes a difference? And that's it. That's the song. 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So 3 minutes. But it's like almost obligatory that if you're going to be a metal vocalist, you either cover this song or you react to this song or you know this song. But that's it. That's the reaction for that. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, if you want to talk about this or throw your own 2 cents in, do it in the comment section below or join us on the Cardivox Academy community page on Facebook. It's a lot of fun. We've got a little over 300 members there and a lot of cool discussions. Also, I'm going to try to get the second part of that AMA video out today, and that's going to be pretty fun. And beyond that, I've got a lot of things in the works that I like want to tell you about, but I can't tell you about yet because they're not fully fleshed out, but working with some people, got some cool stuff coming. So keep an eye on the channel. Thanks for your patience. And again, many thanks. Much love. I'm out.